Trying to get ready for Comicon this year and actually be ahead of the game. Working on a Bob and Linda Belcher cosplay. In the past, my wife and I have done Bob and Linda the way a lot of people have, where you just find the clothes that fit the aesthetic and call it good. We decided, let's go ahead and try to actually make heads. Making heads from a two-dimensional cartoon that are three-dimensional, it's going to be fun. I started by modeling up some understructure, as you see here, and I'm trying to give some dimension to Bob. You can tell when you watch the cartoon that he has a little bit of like eye sag. Bob's tired, so I'm trying to kind of put that down before I actually add the material I'm going to use for their faces. When I printed Bob, if you saw one of my shorts, the head actually collapsed partway through the printing, so I had to print another piece. And here I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to glue it on. Just figuring it out on the fly, not really paying attention to there should have been an easier way to do what I did here. Got that glued in place, and then I went to put some Mod Podge on the foam area, and I put way too much down, so I decided to just paint the entire structure with Mod Podge this time. Not sure if this helped or not, but after it dried, the fabric here, I'm using a fabric glue that is for upholstery. You just spray it on, brush it down, and it becomes tacky pretty quick. It went down and stayed really well and did not pull the Mod Podge up, so it wasn't a failure. This fabric's pretty stretchy. But still, when trying to do a curved surface, you're going to have an area where you're going to have at least one seam. So I got the area from the mouth up stretched out as best I could, and I then decided here that what you're going to see in a second is I'm going to use the mouth where I'm going to put the seams for Bob. This whole idea has been put together on the fly. I modeled up the structure and then decided I'm going to model up eyes, then decided, and everything's just kind of my typical MO. Look at what I have and try to figure out what I need as I go along. I very rarely will actually have a complete idea in my head. I have an idea of what I think it'll look like when done, but how I'm going to get there, definitely not. Here, as I was cutting out slits for where the eyes are going, I kind of got the idea, wow, this could have been a Maz Kanata from Star Wars. Definitely has that vibe. So I used upholstery spray on the outside surfaces, but inside I actually used just hot glue. The upholstery spray takes forever to finally off gas, so I didn't want to have a lot of the spray on the inside of the mask if I didn't have to. Then I just took some EVA foam and came up with a little shape for the mustache. Starting to kind of look like Bob. Using air dry foam, I did a shape for his nose. I should have made the nose out of plastic first and just put a little air dry foam on top, or not even done the foam at all, because this took forever to cure. In fact, it still has issues after the fact, where if I put too much pressure on it, I can actually misform the nose. Eventually this will dry hard and you won't be able to do that, but that can take weeks. Each little piece just seems to make it look more and more like Bob. Because I want some three-dimensional look to it, I put some air dry foam over the EVA cutout mustache. It was giving me kind of a Mario vibe here. And because the clay is still soft, everything keeps sticking to each other. Then I started just taking little pieces of the air dry foam clay and kind of giving a more textured, like, whisker look to his mustache. And it actually was looking good, so I decided to do the entire mustache this way. This is a gray clay. I knew I was going to be painting this, so I wasn't really worried about the color. I get 8-ounce cans of clay when they're on sale for $3. Between his mustache and hair and everything, I think I went through almost 2, if not maybe a little more than 2 tubs of clay. So because this is air dry foam clay, it will soak up paint. I'm taking a foam brush here and I'm putting a layer of Mod Podge on. This will stop the paint from soaking in. Found an old tube of black paint that I think I got from Dollar Tree. Off camera, I also made a couple of eyebrows, similar fashion as to how I did the mustache. And I just start dabbing in. There was a couple areas where I did not get the paint in all the way, so there's a little gray showing through. I thought that gave it a little bit of character. Most people won't see it, but if you do see it, it just looks like, you know, gray coming in. So here's the nose now covered in fabric. I glue it in place with a little bit of gap underneath it so that I could get the mustache in. Just using hot glue to hold everything in place. The mask is coming out really well at this point, and I'm starting to think of other ways I could make, or other characters I could make with this method. If you've ever done cosplay out of EVA foam and made a full head covering mask, you know that they sweat quite a bit. So I'm trying to make sure that, or you sweat quite a bit when wearing them. So I'm trying to make sure there's plenty of room inside that I'm going to be able to put any kind of fans or anything to try to help with that. Didn't realize I wasn't recording when I just started putting down some EVA foam. All it is just a foam to hold onto the air dry foam, because the air dry foam doesn't quite stick to the fabric the way you would like. I printed up a couple of quick eyes, made sure that they fit, and then I'm going to glue them in place. You'll notice that the hair doesn't look that great at that point. He was missing his iconic little swoop in the front. So I went and did some texturing like I did on the mustache with the hair. Made a little swoop, and then after that was all cured, I decided to start Mod Podging so that I can get this painted. This little area where you can see his scalp, it's actually fabric that I had just left over and I pressed into the clay while it was curing. And then here we have Bob. Considering I had no idea what I was doing when I started, I think he came out pretty well. I have the underside for Linda already printed, and we'll be starting on her soon. If I make any changes on how do I do things, I will probably make another video to show how I make her different from Bob. Thanks for watching.